And the last rule is don't repeat. So what that is that we don't want to be saying sit, 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 or down, 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 Hank down, because dogs are very smart and they will learn that, well, mom and dad don't actually mean it until time number 5, so I'm just going to wait. So the command becomes sit, 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 instead of just sit. So if for some reason they don't respond to that verbal cue, which I will go into in just a moment with Hank, is that we're going to go into the hierarchy of commands. So I do expect my dogs to be verbal at the end of the day. However, I've only had a week with Hank, so his down command is definitely still a mix of body language and hand signal. We have progressed it pretty far and he's doing really well, but it's going to take a little bit more time to get it to that verbal command that I would want it to be at. So what that looks like is we'll say sit. And if he does not do the behavior, I'm going to walk into him with body language. Okay. So just moving straight into him is going to tell him that, hey, I need you to sit. It's just like giving more information instead of repeating the command. All right. If he's still not listening, there's one of two things I want you to do. One, I want you to see if, what's going on in your environment, right? Can he sit in that moment? Because if there are 10 kids running down the road and they look really exciting, and even better, if one of them has a dog, it might be too much for him at that moment. And if that's the case, it's completely okay to take it back a few steps to where he's more comfortable and ask for it again. Okay. If we're at home and he's just blowing you off, then we can go to hand signal. Okay. So hand signal for sit is just this. All right. It's just mimicking that lure of moving him into a sit position. He came to me with a pretty decent sit, so we've been just kind of working on keeping that verbal and using that sit as a way to get him to do other behaviors for me, and getting him to calm down and refocus. We use sit a lot with him. Down is a little bit different. It's going to be hard for me to show you here, just because it'll be better for me to show you with the dog. But so down is kind of like a lunge when you're coming from verbal to body language. You're just going to kind of lean over him, and that body pressure of coming down over top of him is going to kind of cause him to slide into that down. Okay. Now, as I said, he's still kind of at a mix of hand signal and body language. So I'm going to lean over him and then I'm going to point to the ground, right? So that's indicating to him, hey, down. You'll also notice that sometimes it takes him a little while to connect the two sometimes. It's just his energy level takes a little bit to kind of shift down, and that's going to get better the more we practice over time. The more we're able to kind of focus his brain, that kind of response time will come down. But so you might see me hold that position over him for just a second. I'm not saying anything else. I'm staying calm, and just waiting for him to slide into that down. And then the moment he is in that down, I say good, and I will give him a reward, right? Whatever that may be. He really, really likes the Kiwi Kitchen air dried. They're kind of like a beef jerky style treat, and he really loves them. He also really likes chicken, but I do want to save the chicken for that really high dollar item for him, which would be outside. So outside is really difficult for him because there's just so many sights and smells, and it's really overwhelming for a bird dog brain. Just so many things that are exciting and adventurous. So we're going to take things slow with him. Keeping him moving is really important. Just standing still does not do well for him. So if we're in a situation where we are about to have to pass another dog, something that I might do is I might have a tug toy in my back pocket, and I'll pull it out and I'll run it along the ground and get him to chase that instead, and all the while kind of backing my self away from the trigger, because he's not ready for straight on pass-bys with a strange dog yet. He is doing better, but particularly if that other dog is trying to engage with him as well, that's just too much for him so soon. These type of things can take, a few months of really consistent practice to get it to where we need it to be. The other big thing that is going to be very important for Hank is kind of brain activity. So he's very smart. He's very busy. Bird dogs are bred to be very quick thinking dogs because they have to be independent thinkers. So their brains tend to just kind of spin a million miles a minute. So being able to grab that attention and kind of bring that energy level down so that he can actually use the thinking side of his brain can be a little challenging. So to do that, like I said, I use a lot of sits. So I'll ask for a sit and I'll reward him for that. And that's kind of also where the collar, the corrective collar comes in. It doesn't hurt him in any way. It just kind of gives him a very clear signal about what's happening. And I'll show you how to put that on and off as well. It is raining like crazy today, so we will try and get everything done today. And if I can't get all of the video today, I'll get you some with some of my personal dogs tomorrow when it's raining a little bit less. But he's been doing very, very well with really controlled practiced settings. So right now is a bit of a difficult, challenging time to walk your dog because everybody is out walking their dog right now. And the setups that you want to put Hank in are very structured and controlled. So something that I would suggest doing is we have that really awesome football stadium that is right down the road from us on Park Street, on the other end of right up by the high school, that has a big empty parking lot. And I would super highly suggest taking him out into the middle of that parking lot. Go ahead and drive over there and park and just kind of wait for dogs to pass by that way so that you have enough distance to be able to really practice these things in a controlled setting, as opposed to having to get stuck on a sidewalk and have nowhere to go. The thing about what we're going to call this is a frustrated greeter, right? The thing about that is that the more he practices that behavior that we don't want him to be exhibiting around dogs or people, the more ingrained it becomes. So we want to practice really good behaviors and eliminate the bad ones by not letting it happen, okay? I'll get some more video of how I work with him around other dogs. I did send you some the other day of how we were working around Voodoo, and he's doing fantastic. I'm really proud of his progress so far. That's a lot of progress to make in a week for a frustrated greeter. So that just tells you how intelligent and how quick to learn he is. His biggest challenge is going to be bringing that energy down. And we are going to fix that through brain games and nose work and training sessions. We as owners tend to do a really fantastic job of physically exercising our dogs, but we don't necessarily do the best job of mentally stimulating our dogs. So what that means is maybe I will hide some treats in the grass for him to use his nose to sniff those out. That's really exhausting for a dog. I would look into some puzzle toy activities to maybe feed his meals out of. Things like a Kong wobbler are really great. I've actually been feeding him out of a Kong wobbler here, and he's doing really well with that. Snuffle mats are fantastic as well. And you can make those yourself or you can buy them on Amazon. Honestly, if you just type in dog puzzle toy into Amazon or Google, there will be 1,000,001 options for you to choose from. I would highly suggest having at least 5 different puzzle toys and activities for Hank so that we can kind of switch things up on him and keep him guessing about what's going to be next. Because if we just buy 1 or 2 and we give those to him over and over again, he's going to figure them out very quickly and they're going to no longer be challenging to him anymore. The waste of mental activity lies in when something is challenging for them or they're learning something new. So we want to make sure that we're continually challenging him so that we can kind of help bring that energy level down. Now, as far as your kiddos in the house and the jumping, it's definitely something that he struggles with. And it's going to be even harder with the kiddos because they're very fast moving, and that really brings his energy up really high. So one of the things I want to teach your kids is how to be a tree. So if Hank starts running and is going to be knocking them over, I want them to stand super tall and super straight and hold their arms like this and just stand completely still until Hank leaves them alone. And basically what that's doing is making them boring to him, so it's not as fun. But another thing that we can start practicing once we are out of this quarantine thing is me coming over and showing you something called tether work. So what that means is that you're basically going to have a leash on him with his collar, and we are going to work on some impulse control around the kiddos while they're running around and having a good time being kids, and just kind of rewarding him for keeping his head and staying calm, and then correcting that bad behavior of, oh my gosh, I'm overwhelmed, I'm going to chase the kids, right? So that's something that we can practice together. I don't necessarily want you trying that on your own, but you can certainly put a collar and leash on him while your kids are running around and playing, and go ahead and reward him with a high value treat anytime that he's doing the right thing and making the right choice. I think that would be completely fine. So that's pretty much it as far as verbal knowledge. I'm sure there will be more questions. Feel free to reach out to me and ask me anything. I'm available pretty consistently. My mom is in the hospital, so with a broken leg, so I'm kind of in and out of availability. So if you can't get a hold of me, just leave a message or shoot me a text and I will get back to you pretty quickly. So awesome. I'm gonna go and grab some videos of me actually working with Hank and get them off to you as well. And I'm sure he's going to be very excited to see you. He will come home nice and clean, and not that it matters because it's going to be very muddy for the next couple of days, but he will come home nice and clean. So, all right. Thank you so much.